Sitting down to talk with today's guest was a pretty refreshing experience. Jeremiah Pascua is an ultra-distance skateboarder from Southern California who has been at it for about 10 years now. In this episode, we talk about what got him into skateboarding, what some of his achievements are, and what the future holds for him. Listening back to this, I found a lot of what he had to say pretty inspiring, and I hope you do too. As always, thank you for joining us. I'm Max Frank. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Skating in Circles. I'm here with Jeremiah Pascua. Jeremiah, how you doing?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing swell. We're meeting on a summer morning. It's about 6 a.m. for you right now, but that's usual, right? You're usually
Yes,
up.
that is the usual. That is the usual for me. Um, yeah,
That's
I like
perfect.
it.
Yeah, because I'm on East Coast time, so 3 hours later, it's timing out pretty well.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So whereabouts are you on the West Coast? So people know.
In California, I'm about say 30 minutes from LA.
Cool.
30 minutes east from LA. Closest beach is probably 40 minutes. So, and then the mountains are 40 minutes away, so it's kind of nice location.
Yeah, you're right in the middle of all the activities.
All the activities.
All right, so I have a question that I've been asking people that I really like. It's pretty ambiguous. Feel free to take it wherever you want. And that is, what motivates you?
What motivates me nowadays it's my daughters. Obviously, being the best version of myself has always been a motivation, and then also wondering what the best version of myself looks like
Right.
is usually my motivation. But now obviously that has an attachment. Now it's being the best version of myself as a father for my daughters. And then now that we have daughters, it's really challenging to be like a really good partner, like a husband. So, those are the things that motivates me every day to like, how can I be, how can I serve my family the best? So that's my motivation.
That's really cool. I think that question is tough to answer on the fly, and you did a pretty good job.
Oh man, I think about that every day, honestly. I do listen to some like kind of like speakers, motivational speakers every now and then just cuz I personally don't have the best role models in my life. I mean, like directly in like, my father or my brothers. Um, you know, I don't know, I don't really I guess I'm seeking another type of direction or support, and no one can give it to me except for like YouTube.
Yeah, dude, I understand. YouTube's actually an excellent resource, and
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
yeah, I think people should use it more often. Okay,
Yeah.
so on to the skateboarding topic.
Hmm.
Let's talk about your first time riding a skateboard. When was that?
Ooh, dang, take me back to like 10 years old. I don't know, what is that, like sixth grade, fourth grade?
Yeah, 10 I think is fourth to fifth grade typically.
Yeah,
But yeah,
fourth to fifth grade. Yeah. I think I saw like the X Games on on TV once, and I like wanted to rollerblade, and then I got a pair of rollerblades, and that was short-lived, I guess, because then my neighbors got a skateboard, and I was like, "Yo, what is that thing? That looks fun." And my brother ended up getting one, and we shared his, and then I got my own. So my first skateboard was technically my brother's, and I just used it way more than him.
wow.
And then yeah, my brother RV. I don't know if you ever met him,
I don't
but
think so.
yeah, he passed away last year in June. So Big ups to him. Like he wanted a skateboard, so he got it. I ended up loving it. So man, I took that thing and I ran with it, and we were both trying to learn tricks and stuff. My first owned skateboard was a World Industries Wet Willie
Yeah.
board. I think it was like red grip tape, Grind King trucks,
Grind King.
and yeah, Grind King
That's right.
trucks, and I think I had like Spitfire wheels
That's so cool.
and Lucky bearings.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember all those
yeah.
brands. That was
Hmm.
what we used to do is we would get the CSS skateboard
Yeah.
magazine or
Oh my God.
CCS,
CCS.
um,
Yeah.
and we would build completes in the magazine because you didn't have the internet back then. It wasn't like
No,
you could just
definitely.
slap one together online. You would like
Yeah.
circle things. Yeah, the red grip tape
Yeah.
is funny.
No, that definitely, that was like, dude, those magazines were, they were there. They're always with us in the car. We took them wherever. Like, oh, what about this deck? Like, oh, look at these. Definitely helped like drive us to like get more gear or want more gear. And then luckily for us, we had a mall, and they had a skate shop at the mall. So I went and looked at everything in person, and then I looked for a long time. I think I looked for like a whole year, and then finally my parents got me one on Christmas. So I got lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. So where did you grow up then? If you were skating, you had a mall around that was in California still?
Yeah, in California, this city called Fontana. This place was probably about like, yeah, like an hour away from LA.
Okay.
Just flat, and it's like a trucking town kind of, so people just pass through. There was a mall. They're trying to like develop it, I guess. So they put a mall there, and that was kind of like the biggest thing. And there's an airport, Ontario Airport.
Nice. So I guess you were skateboarding, street skateboarding back in the early 2000s, right? When it was pretty popular, really taken off.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, it was probably like 2000, literally like 99, 2000 when I
Right on the dot.
started skate. Yeah,
So
yeah.
when I first met you, though, it was at La Diga, I think, and you were paddling. So how did the change from street skating to paddling happen? Did that occur over time? Was it all of a sudden? What happened there?
So basically, I was skating my whole life from age 10 to 17, I guess. 17 is when I first started like longboarding, because my brother DJ, you know him.
Oh yeah.
He got out of the military, so he's 10 years older than me. So he was 27. He got out of the military and came from Japan to California, and I don't know, for some reason he just bought a longboard one day all of a sudden, and he's like, "Here, ride this." And like, I love skateboarding. I could ride anything. I had no discrimination against it. And um man, it was a Sector 9, really loose trucks. Yeah, I think it had like those going trucks on it. I started riding it. I was like carving real tight, all these kicks. And then he started learning that too. And then I would see him like maybe like 2 weeks later, and then he'd be a little better. And then another 2 weeks after that, he went out and got like a Kahuna land paddle, big Kahuna stick or something
Yep.
like that.
Yeah.
And because he liked it, but I think he had bad knees at the time, so he wasn't like kicking. Uh, and he was like finding like an alternative, because we used to play basketball a lot, and I don't think he could run anymore, so he was like trying to find something.
Yeah.
So it kind of bridged the gap. And then he got another longboard kind of for me. So I had a longboard, and then he would longboard and have a paddle. And so we started with that Kahuna paddle, and it was like instant. It was instant for him and me, because like we would go to the beach, and like people would they would freak out like, what is that? Oh my God. Like or like you're cheating, blah blah blah. And so like we were like we instantly noticed like, dang, people are like noticing this, like just like seeing like brown people skateboard or whatever, or like I don't know. And then my brother was like all buff too, so it was like, whoa, oh my god, that was like a crazy workout.
Yeah, they see DJ with his giant arms paddling. They're like, "Oh, that must be how he got that big."
Exactly. Yeah, basically. And so and it's always nice to get like a little attention or whatever. Like feels good.
Hmm.
So we kind of got bit by the bug, and so we started putting in miles. Honestly, I think the first little long distance ride we did was like 8 miles, and like that's the one where we realized, whoa, like we could go kind of far with these things. And we were just going through neighborhoods, and then we ended up at a local college, Cal State Fullerton, and we're just like, oh, cruising around the college, and like everyone was just like, whoa, yeah, what is that, what is that? And so that's kind of how we came to paddle. And for me, naturally I was like, well, I have to get good at it too, because this is what we're doing. So I'm so competitive, and I'm a super sore loser, so I like to win.
Yeah, that's totally valid. I think you also pointed out something really cool that happens to a lot of people when they first start riding distance is you get to that like 8 mile mark or 10 mile whatever,
Hmm.
and you have that sort of realization that you've traveled an amount of distance you normally have driven a car for or something, and you're like, oh, I can actually go places, and the journey is the whole goal, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and that's really what it is. And then the best part about it, I think, was like I just picked up my skateboard and I walked into Jamba Juice. You know what I mean? And I like ordered, and I was chilling with my skateboard. Like I didn't have to like lock up my bike or leave my bike outside.
That's right.
And I think for me, that's kind of the deciding factor between biking and longboarding. It's like, okay, like skateboarding is like way slower than biking, but I never get a flat tire. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
ever.
Yeah. And
uh,
there's the
yeah.
maintenance is different, right? And like you said, you
Hmm.
can bring it around.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's really tough because I've just started cycling too, and it's nice because I feel like I could actually travel on it. Whereas you can totally
Hmm.
travel on a skateboard, but the bike will let you go off road. It will let you go
Yeah,
in other places.
exactly.
But who knows? Maybe skateboards will get there soon. I mean, people do that, right? You do see
Yeah, I
people
mean,
skate on dirt.
gravel, we'll hit some gravel, some
Hmm.
I've hit a dirt like a fire road before.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice. Nice.
but I was like braking definitely a lot of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tricky, I think.
But so yeah, that's kind of how like the paddling came along. So yeah, big ups to Kahuna brand for being, making paddles for stakes like back in 2007.
Yeah, I feel like they were the first ones, or one of the first companies at least that I heard of. So it was you, your brother D, who you mentioned, and then Daniel Cambay, who were the three to first paddle the Ladiga Challenge. I don't think anyone's actually ever done it since, strictly paddling. You guys didn't really push at all, right?
So I think we did Ladiga after we paddled 200 miles. So I think we were like kind of, had some momentum.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I didn't think I could do it paddle only Ladiga. So I kind of made it my mission to support my brother in his attempt to like paddle it only, because that was, we were trying to show everybody, hey, flex on the raton stick is kind of like what allows us to go uphill. So
Mm-hmm.
now we're gonna do this race where there's uphills, and not be able to paddle or not be able to kick, and kind of be the first ones to do it. So yeah, I made it my mission to help him, and by help him, it was like drafting him or like holding his electrolytes, kind of like waiting for him at the hills. And because the hills is where it's hard to climb. That's like the main thing. So, and obviously we wanted to make a good time, so I kind of separated I separated and I went with D because he was a little faster than Cambay. And so yeah, it was us three doing the doing that paddling. And so I think D's the only one who actually completed it because Cambay on the third day we were going back, and I don't think it was, maybe it was Trash Mountain. Is that the one where there's like big dip? There's like three big hills in a row. So you go down,
Yeah,
and at the bottom there's like a puddle or like a river, not like a river, but like little water crossing.
sure.
I don't know. Kembe was hanging with us on the third day. We were all trying to ride together because we hadn't ridden together the first few days. So then we go, and then Kembe just like decides to like bomb the hill, like just go straight into the water puddle. And I don't know what happened on the way down, but he started like losing control,
Sure.
and he tried to ride off into the grass, but in the grass there was like rocks. You know what I mean? So, so he kind of like stepped off and then like just did a tumble, basically ate shit, and so he couldn't even paddle on the way home, on the way back. So he had to end up like kick the rest of the 90 miles.
It's still
Um,
crazy though. He's like, "Oh, I can't
yeah,
paddle anymore. I might as well finish the race though." Like, that's
yeah.
cool.
So, dude, that guy was hurting. I felt so bad. I was like, well, dude, like we kind of have to leave, and there was like like a pack, the last pack, and there was like John Moriarty, and like I think Tim Payne was back there, some other people. I don't know if Tim Payne was back there, but
Yeah. Actually, I don't think it was Tim. Jeff Crow. I think you might be thinking,
Jeff
and
Crow.
then Ed
Yeah,
Francavilla.
yeah. Yep, and yeah, Ed Frankavilla, and so yeah, they're back there, and he kind of just cruised with them. So that's when, yeah, that's basically how it happened. So D, I think, is the only person to clarify that, to paddle only Ladiga. But since then, I don't know. Chip has said he's done it, and I believe Andy has done it.
Oh, Chip did do
Yeah,
it. I don't think Andy did paddle only. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. But
I do. He probably could.
definitely could.
But
Yeah. Definitely could.
yeah. Yeah, it's just hard, dude. When you get to those hills, man, like you're just like, why am I doing this? Like I should just kick. Like this is like so inefficient. It's just weird. It's like a weird commitment. Like, oh well, I'm just gonna use this pole and just like nudge me up like 2 inches at a time.
Yeah. That would be the biggest obstacle for me when riding the paddle is seeing other skaters go by like effortlessly and faster than me, and I have to
Hmm.
just like keep, like you're saying, inch by inch with this fucking paddle. That
Yeah.
would be tough. I think that's a mental battle that you kind of have to get in your own zone, especially when
Yeah,
you're one of few.
yeah, you have to commit 100% to it. I mean, otherwise, do like kick paddle, and I think that's kind of where it's at. And I've talked with Andy, like, man, like, do you think since he's done a bunch of mileage, like, do you think having a paddle would help you get further than 300, whatever your PR is? And he's like, man, you go pretty fast when you're like kicking, like that pace is fast, and well, I don't know, who knows? Who knows?
There's so much to be found out there, because who's to say that you can't kick and paddle at the same time in some way, right? like who knows
Yeah.
what form or what item you need in your hand or what kind of gear you need. Like, this
Yep.
is the beginning, right? Very much the early
Yeah.
days. So yeah, I'm
Well, I
excited
just
for
think
that.
if like say if you gave Joe Mazzone a paddle on that one day when he did 315 or whatever it is, I think he could have used it one time or another to like keep going, maybe like on that slowest lap, maybe he could have like push on the downhill, or push like the pump part, a little, and gained a few seconds here and there.
Well, I think the ability to pump and paddle at the same time is super cool too. And that could generate a lot of speed.
Yeah, because I think I had mentioned that, like, imagine going down. You can't kick the board at 20 miles per hour, but you could paddle like going 20 miles per hour. So it's like someone has to figure out the inefficiency there, like a power loss is like oh, paddling at 20 miles per hour or whatever, 30 miles per hour, is it worth the effort or drag it makes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, versus the propulsion.
Yeah,
So,
that's so
yeah,
interesting. I didn't think about that. Like, yeah, how that could change things. I think it also comes down to training, right? Someone needs to train at this level for a while for us to really see the results. And like the power loss thing you're talking about, right? When you're sprinting at 20 miles an hour, I guess to clarify if people are confused, like if you're sprinting at 20 miles an hour, you're going to be a little unstable, right? Or if you're really strong, you might not be as unstable, but the faster
yeah,
you go, the less stable you are and the harder it is to maintain a really good form and really consistent push. So what you're
yep,
saying is essentially what if the better way to push or the better way to propel yourself at 20 miles an hour is to tuck and paddle or something like that,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And it would be like a tuck and paddle technique because I've spent a lot of time paddling, and for me, I feel like I'm, I still practice switch paddling. I practice, both sides. Like I feel like I was like pushing the limits of paddling. So figuring out different techniques, how like close grip, wide grip, stuff like that. And like, even on downhills, I was just like tuck and like I could like kind of push and still be like tucked. Yeah, it's fun to like go downhill with someone at the same time, and then I have the paddle, they don't, and somehow like I'm propelling myself forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if that is able to be like captured on video and maybe explained, like maybe there's like a case for paddling downhill or whatever, having a paddle downhill.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to get our distance skate scientist on this one.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
So we've been talking a lot of paddling. Let's quickly talk about ultra skate. The triple threat is what they called it, and you were the only one, or maybe
It
someone
was
else has done this since.
a double trouble.
Double trouble, double
Yeah.
trouble.
No, so basically, yeah, it's the double trouble club. It's two different categories, two different um um 200 miles in each category, right?
Okay,
Um yes. So, yeah, I did it paddling, and then my goal was to do it kicking and then the kick paddle. Obviously, I've only paddled 200 miles and kicked 200 miles on separate occasions, and that was my goal, and it is my goal to do all three categories. But last year, I was gonna do it, but instead I joined the team relay
that's
to
right.
help Andy out, and because they had a dropout like the day before. So I was like, you know, he was just like, I know you got your paddle, kick paddle, because I was gonna get I think I was gonna get like 250,
Right,
because there was another guy, David Whitener, who set the new record for kick paddle, and I just was like, oh, or paddle push, yeah, paddle push, and so I was just like, oh man, that's supposed to be me, blah blah blah, but at the same time, I was like, well, we set a new world record as a team, so I was hyped on that. Um,
yeah, that's awesome. You guys killed it.
Dude, I had a blast. Honestly, the if you've never done a relay, you should do it. You should try it. It's fun. I don't know, I guess it's a different way to see the ultra skate track, because going
Definitely.
so fast like that all the time, like it's just like, oh, this is super fun, and then you get to take a little break, and then you go keep skating. So it was fun.
You're saying you guys got the new record, the course record for team at Ladiga? I mean, sorry, new record for team at Ultra Skate Miami, right?
Yeah, for paddle only.
Oh, just paddle team. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but we did beat Aaron, and Team Insanity, uh in total mileage. We had the most miles that day too.
Wow. So you
Yeah,
as a paddle only team, you were
yeah,
actually the winning overall team as well.
yeah, man. That kept us going for sure. So thanks to them, because you know, dude, I'm telling you, man, paddling is tough.
Hmm.
Is real tough, and I think until you've really done it, like the grip strength you need, and like the arm, like the connection of the arms to the body, like because that's how that's how you're getting the momentum. It's like everything's passing through the pole, then your arms, then your shoulders, then your core, then your legs to the board.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole timing. The timing has to be right, like or else you're in like you're doing a non-efficient. That was you wasted that stroke. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
oh right there, you did like a bad kick. So and I think you feel it a lot more when you're paddling because
Mm,
you're already going so slow.
exactly. And I guess to
Yeah.
clarify for anyone who might not be familiar, ultra skate has a few different categories and disciplines, but just for this conversation, there is the paddle, which is paddle only on a skateboard, no pushing. You can't put your foot down to kick. There's only push, so you can't use a paddle. And then there's push paddle, which is a combination of the two. And any one of the categories can pump. There's no restriction on pumping. And typically, it's seen that paddling is harder, as we've kind of talked about, in order to maintain speed and go faster. Typically, paddling is, or I would say paddling is harder.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's it's more difficult. I don't dude, honestly, these are thoughts I've had think, thoughts I've had while skating like is there more drag cuz like when I'm kicking, I'm like I'm facing forward, you know what I mean? Like my body's wider whereas like paddling you can be like sideways.
This is what we need to put people in a wind tunnel, figure that out.
Yeah. That'd be fun, yeah.
So yeah, I do want to talk about training for these kinds of things and how that can be difficult, right? We're
Yes.
talking about skating over 200 miles in 24 hours. You can show up and do this. It's been done before. However, you're best off getting some training in beforehand. I got to ask, so have you ever hit a lull in your training? Have you ever been at a point where you're like, damn, I haven't skated in a month. I haven't skated in 2 months, maybe longer. And how do you get back and stay on task and get back into it? Has that ever happened to you?
Yes. It happens. I think, well, yes, I've hit lulls, but I'm always, how can I say, I always skateboard. And I think being on this earth for however many years I've been on, I just realized that the skateboard was just there all the time. Like I just have to put myself on it, and then all everything goes away.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
so true. That's
So
so true.
yeah, so I've always had a skateboard and I always ride it like every day, even if it's just like a little tic tac here, a little power slide, and then like I'm good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there's been days when I don't have it, but thinking about it, so I do my best to ride every day. As far as distance rides, like training, I kind of do. How can I say when I do skate, I skate fast, right? Then I'll like plan out some big rides. So I do hit lulls, but I try to skate every day.
Yeah.
So no matter what, I just skate, and then like if it's my longboard, I'll jump on it and I'll skate fast. And I think let me clarify this too. Where I live, I have like a really nice loop, and it's a half-mile loop, but there's speed bumps, but the pavement's really smooth. So it's kind of like not the best course, but it's perfect to go around. And so I just hit in and I zone out. And there's cars leaving here and there, but so it gives me like a really good place to like meditate per se.
Sure.
My training is just stay skating, and then obviously I put benchmarkers for the year, and it's June. In June, I'm just like, all right, like here we go. Let's start like throwing more distance, start making some more time for this, and then yeah. So that's how my year kind of goes. It goes like ultra, and then there's a little lull for like a month because I'm just like over the taste of tailwind and
Mm-hmm.
over fucking over just over that.
I think that's a thing, right? Like when you're trying to get into training, it's hard to think about what am I trying to do out there? Like why am I even doing it? It's not
Mm,
it's not pleasant all the time. It is, right? It's a lot of fun to ride skateboards, but training can be painful. Training can be exhausting, right? That's the idea.
Yeah,
So to force yourself into this meditative state can sometimes be the hardest part. But once you get there, it just kind of takes over. Sounds like that's what you're saying kind of is find a good spot and just kind of let it happen.
definitely, definitely. I mean, I think skating without traffic really helps. Because I used to skate on the street a lot and stuff like that. But bike paths and like whatever, like that's where it's at.
Definitely the best place
For
to
distance
learn.
skating.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so it's been like 10 years of me basically doing distance skating.
Mm-hmm.
So started like playing around with the longboard 2007, and then 2014, 7 years later, we're full blown trying to do distance skating. Like we're making sticks and all that stuff. And so 2014 is when we did my first ultra.
Okay.
So fast forward 10 years to where we're at now. Yeah, like I definitely learned like doing ultras back to back years. Like that's rough for me. So I tried it and like I was like, oh, it's cool, back to back to back. I'm like, dude, me personally, I need like pause, break just from anything. Yeah, just from anything, like let me just think about something else for, real quick. And then I found that a little break kind of helps me. And so now that I have kids, man, like, dude, you break your year down into like, you're so much more trying to be efficient because you realize how much time is. And so,
You just
yeah, how valuable time is. So,
yeah, I
I
was gonna say.
yeah, I basically the first month after Ultra, it's like family. I do it, and then but I'm still like skating here and there, and then come along April and June. April, May, June, you start like, luckily there was like that May warm up challenge, so I was like kind of trying to record my rides more and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's June or July, so I'm like ready to go, start skating like. The weather's nice, so I could like bring my girls out. I got, I'm all set up. So now, my wife's all prepped. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Ultra skate time. Like
Yeah.
my whole attitude changes, dude. Like honestly, because dude, like you got to be kind of fucking crazy,
A little bit.
to do some endurance stuff, and to like want to go into the pain cave and like that's how I like that's basically how I train.
Cool. So, two things you kind of touched on there were 10 years ago, you said you started skating and family life. And these are two topics I'd like to go over real quick before we end. So, first up, 10 years ago, you were making paddle sticks, right? They were called, it was What's Up was the company. They were made
Yeah,
out of rattan. I actually have one in my basement. They're really,
nice.
really cool. And you guys were just kicking off, and the scene was also kicking off. And that's kind of what I want to talk about is how would you say the scene has changed since then? Is there anything that sticks out to you from that was really popular or was going on in 2020 or sorry 2014 that is no longer happens in 2023 or some advancements that you want to point out that are kind of cool?
Oh yeah, definitely. As far as the scene of like distance paddling, it's grown. It's definitely grown. And I think I mean, for lack of a better term, trim the fat, like
Mm-hmm.
there's like a couple companies out there that are like real strong and but one company, Hamboard, makes a really good one that's like transportable, or Subskate Sports, transportable, lightweight, it flexes, it does everything you need to do, decent cost, and you could like get it off their website and have it shipped to you.
Nice.
So I think that's basically what happened. There's another company out there, Brapstick. So people came and gone, but what happened was anyone who was just like doing it and didn't really believe in it, they kind of just fell off. Also, the economy, you got to think like economics. So
Mm-hmm.
um, Yeah, so I think that had a big effect, but I also think there's more cohesion at the same time. Like people don't really care what brand you're riding or whatever. It's just like everyone, let's just ride, let's just have fun. And and I think also the last thing, it's more international now than it was back then. There was probably like one or two people here and there. Now there's a handful of people everywhere.
Absolutely.
Everywhere they got paddles, and we're connected now on Facebook, and so I think that's kind of what has caused the growth. Because I think if we didn't have Facebook or whatever, it would be different. But yeah, I'm glad Facebook exists because it has my videos from like 10 years ago doing like stick flips, you know what I mean? Like,
Nice.
uh, yeah, doing like crazy stuff, like sliding with the pole. Like, man, like all that stuff was, it's part of the history. But
Definitely.
I think we all understand that we have to spoon feed stand up paddle skateboarding to the masses. And that's kind of what we're doing. It's like, hey, here's a board, here's a paddle, like go, like don't think about what type of trucks you need or wheels or anything, just step on it and go,
Hmm.
because that's like what, that's the progression of the used to be the progression of a stand-up paddle skateboarder. Is like, oh well, you have to get a longboard, you have to get a, then you have to find a stick and whatever, so here it is, like all in one package, like let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I think. And then also on a side note, roller skating has also become so popular as well. So I think the whole like self propulsion on four wheels slash eight wheels is kind of adding like a, like another layer of swell.
Yeah, that's a good point. And sort of to that point, you and I have talked about this before, and I've talked about this with other people who have said something similar. It sounds like we're due for another wave, another surge of LDP, of distance skateboarders coming to the scene and events happening. Would you say that's how you feel too? Do you think that's true?
I think it's happening right now, like as we speak, to be honest, like because there's that dude in Britain or in, yeah, London or whatever. He like tried to break the record, and like there was like another guy and there's like another guy, like so you could tell like people aren't stupid. Like they can see like the shit we're doing is hard,
Mm-hmm.
but they can also see that no one even gives a fuck either. So they're like, well, let me see if I could get some people to care, and like, you know what I mean? And like that's kind of what's gonna help drive our, and that's like a lot of the stuff I want to do too, is like, hey, let's do like a foundation or like, skate for something. And like I think that makes it a lot more meaningful for people. And like I think where it sticks, like those are the types of things that like make it stick in people's hearts, and then it
Yeah.
gets in their minds. And so I think just dude, the events, like it's happening right now, man. Like they're going across America. Like some guy just skated across America, Chad Caruso, you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's happening right now. Oh, and he was on like Seismics or whatever. So it's like, yo, he wasn't on like some Spitfire thing. He was on Seismics, and like half our community uses Seismics or whatever. So
Yeah, I think this whole idea of riding distance on a skateboard, people were using longboards for transportation and they sort of went through this whole stigmatized era and now they're kind of cool again. And post pandemic, I think a lot of people picked up skateboarding as their pandemic hobby and maybe some
hmm
stuck with it, some didn't, but it still helps and any amount helps, I think.
well, yeah, dude. And honestly, like people see it, man. Like when I go to the beach and we're kicking hard, and I'm going fast, like, and I'm keeping up with bikes. Like, dude, people are tripping. They're like, "What is that? An e-board?
Yeah,
No, like,
I always get that.
look at your legs. Like, they're freaking mass. Look at your quad. Look at that quad development."
Yeah, like this is not an electric skateboard. I'm sorry. I'm pushing this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's growing right now, and I think we're in it. Like, we're riding the wave, and um you'd be stupid not to jump on right now because dude, it's fun, man. Like the it's fun. The
Yeah.
community is fun, and like I think ultra skate, is just enough. And then like if you're trying to get a little crazy, do some of these other rides, hit some downhills. Like,
I think it's really approachable. People think of skateboards as a street skateboard, and if they've ever ridden on one, they probably weren't very comfortable on it because they're hard to ride, especially if you've never done it. But a
yep,
longboard with big wheels, long wheelbase, low to the ground, maybe even you're gonna have a much easier time standing on that thing, and that's I think that's something a lot of people just don't know.
yeah. Soon enough in time. We're like I said, we're riding the wave right now, and with the next Olympics coming up, it's gonna get crazier.
Yes,
Like
yes, yes.
I'm hyped, dude. Honestly, and yeah, to be a part of it and try to do some crazy stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude, this is my year, man. It's gonna work out. My family, my girls are like the right age to where like they could kind of take care of themselves or
Nice.
entertain themselves. Hey, real quick, dude. Okay, Skanunu, that
Yeah,
is like lubricant,
yeah.
dude. Where do I get that? Do they have a website? Because I try to Google it and I don't think they have a
Skanunu
website.
might not be. Is he around still?
I don't know. We're like, what do you use for like, dude? Because like the squeaks, man, like they're killing me. Like in the pivot cup, and I'm just like, dude, I need like to like, keep it lubed up and whatever. So,
Yeah. Okay. So, um, there you can look for Skanunu. It's Skanunu. It's sold in a
hmm
few places. It looks like there's other ones though that are escaping me right now.
yeah, I was gonna say, what do you use? Do you use or you just ride with the squeaks?
I'll clean my bearings using citrus degreaser every once in a while, and that seems to do the trick. I
No,
never.
not the bearings. I'm talking about the pivot cup, like
Oh,
and
oh.
like the bushings, like
Yep,
because I don't know. Sometimes those get squeaky.
yep, yeah, yeah. So you'll probably want some lube for those. Mine are starting to get squeaky again.
And what's your setup right now? Are you riding like?
I'm running a Pantheon with G bomb, G bomb deep drop in the front, and then torsion tail in the back. But I've got a bunch of new stuff coming. I just got a supersonic from Pantheon and also their Genesis. I want to try a bunch of different boards. I don't really like the setup I
Damn,
have right
I
now.
almost bought a Genesis, dude. I
Yeah,
wanted to buy it so bad, but I think I'm gonna get uh Clark Blumenstein's board, dude. Because I think because I'm gonna do a push paddle this year, and I think I'm gonna do like the Eric Danger method where he has like a crazy top mount, and then like just like a low like kicker.
hmm
So yeah, I don't know what kind of wheels you're running too, but if you have some big wheels on it, it's even better.
yeah. I actually ordered some big wheels. I got the 100 millimeter, the Hyperdrive Ingens 100 millimeter.
Hmm,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, dude, they're awesome for
Um.
sure.
Cool. So
Do you want to keep going? Because I know it's been like an hour.
yeah, well let's wrap it up a little bit here. I guess just some closing thoughts right now because I do have to hop off. Is there anything you want to say that we didn't cover? It doesn't have to be related to distance skateboarding. It could be anything you want to get out there.
Dude, not really, man. I'm just super thankful for you allowing me to do this, and then uh just thankful for skating. I had mentioned it earlier, man. Like this shit saved my life for real. Keeps me out of the dark places, and I hope someone, we all just share our skateboard and get someone else riding. Hope everyone, some random person hears this. We'll see it. Yeah, we'll just keep training. Well,
Yeah,
honestly, I wanted to talk to you about like other types of training because you've done like you cycle and like does that transition over to skating? I mean, are you just
definitely.
because I honestly I have a family, so I have to freaking train like 2 hour, less than 2 hours for the most part. Like if I get a 4 hour ride in, I'm lucky.
Right.
Uh,
I think that's the hardest part is finding the time, especially for you. You've got a lot going on. And
Yeah.
I think in regards to cross training though, for cycling, definitely it helps with form and with like power management. I don't even know if that's a thing, but knowing how to push yourself and stuff. The bike is really controlled, I found. So I love it. It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, and then I skated with like ankle weights. Because I have a dope loop, no traffic, like pretty smooth. So I'm fucking like, let's throw a weight vest. I've skated with like a 20-pound weight vest, and then like ankle weights on my feet and shit like that. Yeah, and then I don't know if you've heard of this dude, knees over toes guy.
No.
And he does like some different type of shit, like super deep squats. And so yeah, I've been on that shit too. But yeah, well, I mean, we could film another episode talking about training, actually talking about training.
Yeah, I got a feeling we'll probably need to record another episode. We got a lot to talk about. I feel like you and me we can go for a while on this kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're down to meet up again, I'm down to do another one of these.
Yeah, let's do one like just but try to keep it about like training cuz this was like a little background.
Yeah.
Because I know, because dude, you've done this shit for a long time too. So I'm like, I never talk to you. Like it's like once a year or something like that. It's just like, bro, I need to talk to you more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think communication in the scene is like you and me is one thing and then like also there's many others, right? So having that avenue is it's tricky to find, right? We used to use Facebook a lot. That used to be where primarily
Yeah.
most of the scene was, but now a lot of people have
Mhm.
moved off Facebook. There's a Discord channel, but it's tough.
I and I think honestly, I think people are like doing their own thing and then like just looking for feedback or like, well, and everyone's so different. So that's kind of how it works. But yeah, man, I definitely want to pick your brain a little bit. And we'll do this again.
Yeah, I
We
would
we
love
should
to.
set a date.
So, second to last question. Where are we going to see you next?
Well, shoot. There's always these events, Ciclavia, where they close down the roads, and so I make it my mission to bring out my skate trailer that I made with my daughters. Like they could both fit in now. And dude, I'll be putting in some miles there. I think it goes from like Hollywood to Koreatown.
And when is
So
that?
that is let's say like in October. But I think there's another event prior to that in August. I don't know, dude, honestly.
All
But
right.
that's where you'll see me at next at
No,
the
that's
next
great.
Open Streets event.
And any social media you want to plug? Anything you want to? Any handles you want to share?
Jeremiah Loves Life on IG. Yeah, on IG. I mean, that's where I'm at. That's what I do. I just love life and skateboard, and it's pretty chill.
All right. If you guys want to follow Jeremiah's journey to 300 miles this year at Ultra Skate, make sure to follow his Instagram because he is
Yeah.
gonna push 300 miles this year. Ain't that right?
Oh, shoot, push paddle, new world record. Jeremiah Pascua.
You heard it here
That's it.
first.
Yep, there it is.
Awesome. Hey, well, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate you taking the time and putting the energy into this.
Definitely, man. We're gonna talk soon about training, and thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Quick shout out to everyone who has been giving me feedback on social media. I really appreciate all the comments and messages. Reminder, you can always reach out on Instagram at Skating in Circles Podcast or email skatingincircles@gmail.com.